Hi guys, let me show you how I designed this simple black and white textile pattern in Illustrator. I've made some brush marks with ink on some paper and I've scanned it and brought it into Illustrator. So the next thing I need to do is vectorize it. To do that, I'm going to image trace them. Essentially, image trace vectorizes our brush marks, turns them into little vectors. And what you want to do is click this ignore color. By default, it ignores white, which makes it disappear. And it's perfect for us in this situation. Click expand and Illustrator automatically groups everything together. So if I try to move this, everything goes together. So I need to right click on the brush marks and ungroup them. So now I can move individual pieces around. So now I can see that some of the areas in my arrangement are a little bit more sparse than others. And I can go to some of these individual brush marks. Holding down Option on my keyboard, I can drag it and it copies it for me. So I'm just going to go around and fill in some of these emptier areas. Next, I need to set the dimensions of my pattern tile. I do that by choosing the rectangle tool. I type Enter on my keyboard and set the dimensions. I'm working in centimeters and I'm going to go with 20 by 20 centimeters. Now we're ready to start arranging our pattern. I'm going to grab my selection of brush marks. I'm going to place it in my top left corner of the tile square. This sets it underneath it. So I'm going to type Shift Command right bracket to move it above everything. Now remember, to build a good repeat pattern, we need to make sure everything that's on the left hand side of our tile is brought over to the right hand side, and everything that's on the top edge is brought down to the bottom edge. So to do that, I'm going to select my group of brush marks, type Enter on my keyboard, and now Illustrator is asking me where I want to move this group. And we know that our tile size is 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters, so I'm going to set 20 horizontally, and remember to hit copy. So this happens, and now I'm going to select both of these, type Enter on my keyboard again, and say 20 cm vertically this time. Hit copy. So looking at it now, it's not much of a pattern yet because, as you can see, the middle is empty. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup my existing clusters of brush marks, and holding down Option key on my keyboard, drag a few of these individual brush marks over into the middle section and fill it out. And although this looks like a very simple little pattern, the challenge here is actually to make sure the brush marks are not too close together in certain areas and too far apart in others. Everything is visually balanced. And the key to a good pattern is to have sort of larger, medium, and smaller items to create depth and texture. So I'm just going to spend some time here and dot these little brush marks around. And I think I can be quite intuitive and random with my selection of brush marks because I want to preserve this inky, arty, abstract feel of this pattern. So I don't want to have too much repetition so it doesn't look too digital. And I'm just randomly placing them all over until I get to the edge, which is where I need to be careful because, as you remember, everything I place here has to match what I place at the bottom. And what I place on the left edge has to match what I place on the right. So we have to be a little bit more careful around the edges. So I'm following the same process that I showed you earlier, which is where I select the marks I want to move down and type Enter on my keyboard, set the distance I want to move it, 20 centimeters vertical, and hit copy to make sure I have the exact marks on the opposite edge of the tile. I'll repeat this process for the left and right side of the tile and fill in the rest of the pattern. Once the pattern is ready, I'm going to ungroup all of my brush marks and trim off the excess here. The reason I'm doing this is because it would make my file unnecessarily heavy if I keep them. So when trimming this off, I'm just going to be careful and not get rid of anything that's touching the edge because that would disrupt the seamlessness of our repeat. When that's done, I'm going to select the white square and type Command C to copy it, Command F to paste it in front, and then type Shift Command right bracket to place it over the top of everything. So now I have the sandwich of white square, brush marks, white square. Next, I'm going to select everything and type Command 7 to make a clipping mask. I'm going to head over to Object, Pattern, Make. Size tile to Art, and done. Our pattern is ready. If you look over at your swatches panel now, you can see that the pattern has been saved as one of the color options there. And to test it, I'm just going to quickly draw a rectangle and fill it with the pattern as if I was filling it with color. And you can see that it's seamless, it's worked, it's great. In my next video, I'll be showing you how I package my patterns for sale on Pattern Bank and other clients, so stick around.